close your eyes. Hear the roar of a lion that knows it's about to die. Smell blood mixing with sand and human sweat. This is not entertainment. This is systematic slaughter on a scale you cannot imagine. You're standing in the Hypogeum, the underground maze beneath the Colosseum, where hundreds of animals will be killed today alone, where over the inaugural games thousands will die, where the machinery of death operates with industrial efficiency. Stretching endlessly in the darkness, the tunnels beneath the arena floor form a labyrinth, 32 elevator shafts connecting to the surface, pulleys and winches operated by hundreds of workers, trap doors in the arena floor opening suddenly. Deafening even down here, the sound is pure chaos. Lions roaring in terror, bears slamming against wooden cages, elephants trumpeting in panic, leopards screaming like women being murdered, all sensing what's coming. Overwhelming and nauseating, the smell is death itself. Animal waste ankle-deep in some corridors, gore from previous days never completely cleaned, rotting meat used to bait the predators, fear released through sweat. Crammed into wooden cages barely larger than their bodies, exotic animals from across the empire wait. African lions and leopards, Syrian bears, Caspian tigers, crocodiles from Egypt, hippos from the Nile, all transported thousands of miles to die here. Working in shifts around the clock, bestiari, animal handlers, move through the tunnels, prodding beasts with spears to keep them aggressive, starving them for days before the games, sometimes blinding them to increase their rage. Connected by an underground network, the Hypogeum links to the Ludus Magnus, the gladiator school, and to warehouses storing props, weapons, and the machinery that creates spectacles Romans demand with increasing appetite. Brutal and efficient, the elevator system works like this. Animals loaded into cages on the underground level, workers turning massive capstans to raise them, trap doors opening, beasts propelled onto the arena floor disoriented and terrified. This is not sport. This is industrialized killing perfected over decades, where animals are commodities measured in entertainment value per death, where suffering is the point, where mercy never enters the equation. Designed specifically for these spectacles, the Colosseum can flood sections of the arena floor for naval battles, creating scenarios where crocodiles attack swimmers or drain it for land hunts, versatility serving violence. If you seek the unfiltered truth about Rome's darkest entertainment, subscribe so we can continue exploring together. What you're about to witness defined an empire's moral bankruptcy. Rising before dawn on the day of a Venatio, animal hunt, the preparation begins hours before spectators arrive, the machinery of death requiring precise coordination. Working since midnight, handlers have been positioning animals in their assigned elevator shafts. Lions in shafts 1 through 8, bears in 9 through 12. The exotic animals reserved for the final spectacles positioned last. Starved for 3 days, the predators are beyond hunger into desperation. Their ribs showing through fur, their eyes wild, their natural caution replaced by a willingness to attack anything that moves. Led onto the arena floor through tunnels, condemned criminals, damnati ad bestias, stand naked and unarmed. Some are Christians, some are war captives, some are simply poor people convicted of theft, all sentenced to death by animals. Opening above them, trapdoors suddenly release lions onto the sand. The beasts disoriented by the sudden light, the roar of 50,000 spectators, the vast open space after days in darkness. Attempting to run, the condemned have nowhere to go. The arena wall is 15 feet high and smooth, guards stationed at every exit. The only escape is death, and the lions have caught the scent. Lasting sometimes only seconds, sometimes agonizing minutes, the kills vary. A lion's jaws crushing a skull instantly, or claws ripping open a stomach while the victim screams, audience reaction determining whether it's entertainment or disappointment. Between kills, workers called haranarii rush onto the sand, raking gore-soaked areas, removing body parts, spreading fresh material over the mess, maintaining the illusion that this is clean sport. Increasing in complexity as the morning progresses, the spectacles escalate. Bears released to fight bulls, leopards set against deer, wolves hunting wild boar, the combinations designed to maximize violence. Transported specifically for these moments, exotic animals provide novelty. The first rhinoceros ever seen in Rome crushes a man against the wall. An elephant refuses to attack until handlers burn its feet with torches. Dressed as hunters with spears and nets, trained bestiari enter for the professional hunts. Demonstrating skill by killing lions with a single spear thrust, the audience appreciating expertise in slaughter. Operating continuously, the elevator system keeps animals flowing. As soon as one dies, another rises from below, the machinery never stopping, efficiency replacing any pretense of fair contest. Wounded from spear thrusts but still fighting, a Caspian tiger, brought from Persia at enormous cost, takes 3 men to kill, its prolonged resistance considered successful entertainment. Continuing into afternoon, the spectacles shift to elaborate staged hunts. The arena floor transformed into artificial forests with real trees, painted backdrops creating illusions of Africa or Germania. Released into this manufactured wilderness, dozens of animals at once create chaos. Ostriches running in panic, antelope leaping over barriers, monkeys climbing the artificial trees while archers shoot them for sport. Leave your like if this unflinching look at Roman cruelty is revealing the truth behind the glory of the empire. Soaked material is changed multiple times, workers hauling out the saturated layer and replacing it. The logistics of managing this much death requiring industrial-scale planning. Flooding for the afternoon's final spectacle, the arena becomes a shallow lake. Crocodiles released as condemned prisoners are forced to swim, the water turning crimson, spectators screaming approval. Performing for the Emperor's box, trained handlers demonstrate control over dangerous animals. A man putting his head in a lion's mouth, another riding a bear, these tricks interspersed between killings. Costing fortunes to acquire, some animals are too exotic to waste on simple killings. A giraffe is paraded around the arena, its awkward grace amusing onlookers before it's killed with arrows. Orchestrated by the editor, the game's sponsor, each death serves political purpose, demonstrating Rome's dominion over nature, proving the empire's reach to the furthest corners of the known world. Dying in combinations designed for spectacle, animals are forced into unnatural conflicts. A lion chained to a bull so they must fight, bears with their claws removed, set against armed men, suffering as creativity. Executing criminals between animal acts, authorities use the games for public punishment. A bandit is tied to a post and mauled by dogs. A deserter is trampled by horses, justice as entertainment. Transported in caravans for months, many animals die before reaching Rome. Shipped in cages from North Africa, walked overland from Germania, the mortality rate irrelevant because there are always more. Breeding facilities in North Africa exist solely to supply the games. Lion cubs raised in captivity, bears trained to be aggressive, an entire industry built on feeding Rome's appetite for violence. Wearing purple in the imperial box, the emperor signals thumbs up or down, deciding which animals should be killed quickly and which should suffer longer, his whim determining everything. Approaching evening, the final spectacles are the most elaborate. Entire herds released at once, mass killings designed to impress with scale rather than individual deaths. Releasing 100 lions simultaneously, the handlers create chaos, the animals confused and fighting each other as much as the few condemned prisoners, the arena becoming a scene of absolute carnage. Share in the comments. How did an entire civilization not only accept, but celebrate this level of systematic cruelty? What does it tell us about empires and power? Flowing across every surface, gore channels out through the arena's drainage system, designed specifically for this. But the sheer volume overwhelms even Roman engineering during peak spectacles. Working through the night after game's end, cleanup crews face an impossible task, removing hundreds of carcasses, some weighing thousands of pounds, the stench attracting scavengers from across the city. Butchered for meat in some cases, dead animals serve multiple purposes. Exotic flesh sold to wealthy Romans as delicacies, bones carved into souvenirs, hides tanned for leather, nothing wasted in this economy of death. Recorded meticulously by imperial accountants, the numbers are staggering. Titus's inaugural games in 80 AD killed 9,000 animals over 100 days. Trajan's Dacian triumph slaughtered 11,000 over 123 days of celebration. Driving some species toward extinction, the game's appetite was insatiable. North African elephants disappeared from the wild. Caspian tigers were hunted to local extinction. Entire ecosystems disrupted to feed Roman spectacle. Operating a vast supply network, animal procurement required its own bureaucracy. Scouts identifying and capturing beasts, trainers preparing them, logistics coordinators managing transport, all to feed the arena's hunger. Costing more than most buildings, some single animals represented enormous investment. An elephant might cost 100,000 sesterces, a rhino even more, killed in minutes for audience approval. Protesting the spectacles, philosophers like Seneca criticized the games, calling them degrading to both victim and viewer, but his voice was drowned out by crowds demanding more elaborate deaths. Evolving over centuries, the spectacles became increasingly elaborate. Mechanical devices to lift animals unexpectedly, complex flooding systems, innovation serving the sole purpose of creating new ways to kill. Ending finally in the 6th century, the games stopped not from moral awakening, but economic collapse. The empire could no longer afford to import exotic animals, the infrastructure crumbling along with imperial power. Preserving the memory, the Colosseum stands as monument not to glory, but to systematic brutality. Every stone representing countless deaths, animal and human, all for temporary amusement. Stand in the arena as the last light fades, sand still dark with death, and understand what this place truly represents about human nature and empire. This wasn't occasional violence, it was institutionalized slaughter. Generations of Romans grew up considering this normal. Children learning that life, animal or human, had no inherent value beyond its capacity to entertain. The scale shocks, not dozens or hundreds, but millions of animals killed across the centuries. Entire species hunted to extinction. Ecosystems permanently altered to satisfy appetite for spectacle. Built into the empire's identity, these games weren't peripheral amusement, but central to Roman culture. Emperors gained legitimacy through them. Holidays were structured around them. Political careers depended on sponsoring increasingly elaborate killings. Yet the machinery required revealed Roman genius. The engineering of the Hypogeum, the logistics of animal procurement, the efficiency of the killing, all showing what humans can accomplish when suffering is the goal. The condemned animals had no choice. Starved, tortured, disoriented, released into a killing floor designed for their death, every advantage belonging to the humans who orchestrated their destruction. Watching from the stands, Romans brought their children, teaching them that power means the ability to kill without consequence, that dominion over nature justifies any act, values that define the empire's character. Some animals died quickly, others slowly, torn apart over hours, bleeding out while spectators cheered, their agony calibrated for maximum entertainment value, compassion never entering the calculation. By the empire's end, the Colosseum had consumed animals from 3 continents: African lions, Asian tigers, European bears, all transported thousands of miles to die in sand for temporary amusement. Leaving no written record of their suffering, the animals are history's most forgotten victims. Millions of deaths unrecorded, uncounted, unmourned, their pain dismissed as irrelevant to human concerns. Yet the Colosseum stones remember. If you run your hand along the walls, you're touching a monument to systematic violence, a reminder that civilization and barbarism are not opposites, but often partners. The sounds have faded now. No more roaring, no more screaming, no more audiences cheering death, just silence and ruins. Nature reclaiming what was built for its destruction. Which dark aspect of ancient empires should we explore next? The silver mines of Potosi where millions died, or the systematic destruction of Carthage? Leave your vote below. I'm Abigail. You've walked through Rome's greatest shame, witnessed the industrialized violence that defined an empire, understood that marble monuments often hide rivers of suffering. Welcome to the Circle, where history tells uncomfortable truths, where empires reveal themselves through how they treat the powerless, and sometimes the greatest civilizations committed the greatest crimes.